The most precious resource that exists in the entire world is time. So if you're spending your time and you're designing this plan, just figure out what you want. Because the reality is that anything you really want is really possible. This depends on who you have to become in order to be there.
Welcome to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast, the ultimate destination for accredited investors and entrepreneurs seeking alternative wealth-building strategies. Discover how to fast-track your journey to wealth and time freedom by thinking outside the box. If you're ready to join the ranks of the Contrarian Capitalists and learn the most effective ways to reach your financial goals faster, you're in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast.
What's up, people? Thank you for once again for tuning in to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast. I am your favorite silverback, Sylvania Harrod. And so on this episode, I wanted to introduce you to some of the fundamental concepts you'll hear me referencing over time. So on this one, we're going to go over just the inside game. We won't get into tactics of like what is certain vehicles you can be able to use, but we'll talk about the fundamentals, because the journey of this is to discover what it is that fits your personality and your style. Because if you don't understand those principles, you're just running around with a chicken with its head cut off. Because I have many conversations with people that are so staring at things that are in the micro. So the micro, you'll hear me reference, is what's happening today, this week, this month, that's in the short term. But they never focused on the macro, which is zooming out. So the micro and the steps and the habits we create day by day ends up always impacting the macro. But if we don't know where we want to go on the macro, we just end up somewhere. So the first thing I want you to know is that as you go ahead, you'll hear me talk about zooming out 3 years. You want to zoom out 3 years because you need the ability to know that every micro action is creating where you need to be in 3 years. So nothing happens by accident. I've just mastered over time that if there's an objective that I want to accomplish, I'm going to break it down to its smallest possible element on a day-by-day basis. So investments compound over time. Knowledge can compound over time. And so if you look at and you say, okay, 3 years from now, what is my actual destination that I want to accomplish? As an investor, is it I want to go and I want to just travel the world? Is it I want to retire in 3? Because I believe it's there. Remember, I talked about the rules of the game. Here's another rule that you probably don't understand. Life is non-linear. The problem is we try to put linear moments in a non-linear equation. Never works. So it doesn't make sense. Look back over your life. Look at where you are at today. Did you think that's where it was going to be? Or were there just these little serendipitous moments that happened over time? I'm willing to bet it's the latter. So that means that life is nonlinear. If life is nonlinear, then you have to realize that what can I do in a nonlinear world? Which is, I can go ahead and I can set a destination of where I think I want to be. If I create that, then every day I'm already living in there as if it's already going to occur. Because we can go ahead and say, okay, this is who I'm choosing to be. So let's just use the example of like, I want to retire in 3 years. So in 3 years, I want to retire and I want to have the ability to go ahead and start doing the thing that I want to do. Well, here's the reality. You're not going to wait for 3 years, because what we think we actually want typically is an emotional experience of what that feels like. So if I think about that 3 year moment, I said, okay, if anything was possible, 3 years from now, I was living that moment, what would I be experiencing? And you go, well, experience freedom, passion, purpose, joy. Okay. So it's not the thing you actually want, it's the experience. Because when we were first born, what is developed first? How can you tell if there's a child in a mother's womb? It's a heartbeat, which means your heart was developed before your brain was developed. That's the reason why we're emotional creatures. It's the first thing that's developed. Before you understand language, you can understand emotions. And most of the journey of a child is learning how to communicate and to regulate emotions that happen to be there. So we really want an emotional experience. So this is why people say it's the journey, not the destination, because here's the reality. If you're already successful in life, you've already accomplished things, and you know this, that external validation flees. The thing we think is going to give us an experience will flee unless we train it. So in the macro, if I know I want to experience freedom, passion, and purpose, in the micro, which is today, I'm going to start implementing things that are core pillars in my day-by-day schedule to ensure that in 3 years, I've already trained that experience. Because if not, here's the conventional way of doing things is you say, I want to get a certain amount of money. So let's just say the number is $1 million. So I want to have $1 million in 3 years. And I am not crap until I get my $1 million. So what ends up happening? You get the $1 million. And how do you feel? You feel like crap. Damn, this didn't make me feel any better. I don't feel better of a person. I'm still in that place where I feel anxious because you're going to get to $1 million. And the entire time, guess what you were really training? I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm unworthy. I'm angry that I'm not there already. So you've trained that for 3 years. When you get to the destination, what do you think you've mastered the art of doing? Training, feeling unworthy, angry, frustrated. So once you get to $1 million, what's going to end up happening? You're going to be like, shit, why did it take me so long to get here? I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm disappointed in myself because it took me 3 years to get here. I have friends that have been here 10 years ago, and now they're at 10 and I'm not at 10. Why am I not at 10? Does that make sense? That's why micro and macro need to be in synchronicity. So if you have freedom, passion, and purpose is the things that you're training. Day one, we're going to start out with, what are the things that give me freedom, passion, and purpose? Because this is an inside job. And so you're going to train it in very small micro doses. It could be twice a day before you wake up, before you go to bed. Ask yourself the question, how did I experience in the morning? Like do what I do. I'm a meditator. So it's like, oh, cool. I'm breathing in, breath work, being able to do stuff, freedom, passion, purpose. Then at the end of the day, how did I experience freedom, passion, purpose today? Here's the thing. You're not going to hit every day. You may hit 50%, but if you're conscious of it, you'll start looking for it because you'll start understanding how to train your brain to look for the things that you want. If you understand the rules of the game of being human, you realize that you don't get out of life what you want. You get out of life what you tolerate. So if you get in that space of where you're able to tolerate, cool, man, have some fun. Let's dance. Use it. If you happen to be like really driven, use it to your advantage. Understand the rules of the game. And so once you have that, you're building. So that's where you go. And every day you're going to have this experience. And then before you know it, 6 months is in, it's just who you are. It's going to move to a place where you're just looking for freedom, passion, and purpose. You're tapping into it. You're going back to work doing what you need to be able to do. Then when you hit that threshold, here's the reality. You'll realize it's a lot more fun operating from that space of freedom, passion, and purpose than it is from executing from a place of unworthiness, doubt, feeling insignificant, being frustrated, being angry. Both arrive at the destination, but it's like driving before flat tires. You're gonna get there, but damn, you're gonna make a lot of sparks. You're gonna blow a lot of things, and it's not gonna be a comfortable ride. So that's the first rule: is that as you go through that experience, micro versus macro, we're gonna work through there. So now that we've worked on that piece, there's 4 key questions I ask myself every couple of years. First question is, if anything were possible, what would I be doing? Who would I be serving? How much money do I want to make? And how much time do I want to spend doing it? The first question of, if anything was possible, what would I be doing? This is for the micro versus macro. When we're going through the purpose of going ahead and looking at investments and doing things is to receive a return. The investment and the most precious resource that exists in the entire world is time. So if you're spending your time and you're designing this plan, just figure out what you want. Because the reality is that anything you really want is really possible. This depends on who you have to become in order to be there. And is that the actual return? So let's just look at kind of like from the investment perspective. You hear in real estate, they have this thing called the 1% rule. The objective is whatever the value of your portfolio, so let's use the $1 million mark, you should be receiving at least 1% in rent return based upon that percentage. So $10,000 a month. Now there's things with debt and everything to be able to be there, but just for round numbers purposes, if you look back at your life and you evaluate and you said, okay, what is the bare ass minimum I need in order to sufficiently dial in the life that I want, that I choose to live, right? And you got 2 schools of thoughts. There is one school of thought that's like cut all costs and just save away for whatever you need to be able to be. And you have one school of thought that's just like, just go make more money. As long as, but it's up to you. You decide which school of thought you want to subscribe to. Me, I'm in the school of thought of just go make more money, because I can make sure that my family is living the life that we choose to do. Now, prime example, we're not people that care about what tag is on the clothes. Like, we don't care about that at all. We don't care about having the latest trend or what TikTok says we need to be wearing in order to be fashionistas. Or like, I don't give a crap about that. I am a car person. I've been a car person since I was 4 years old. So I understand a car's not an asset unless you're getting like a rare collector, be able to be there. No, a car's just an experience, and it puts a smile on my face. And I'm just like, that's just who I am. My wife could care less. She's like, I like sweatshirts and athleisure attire. That's her jam. She didn't care about a purse. So for us, it's like the thing that we're simpatico on is experiences. So when I go to the grave, I know we're going to have some wild experiences I'm going to tell, and I'm not going to miss anything. The dollars and cents doesn't matter, because the experience, the memories we make in that small window we have of our children being in our household is what we care about. So my bare ass minimum is based upon those items. These are core pebbles that go into my jar. We look at it and we say our kids are active. We're active. So we're going to invest in health. We're going to invest in fitness. We're going to invest in sports. We're going to invest in those type of experiences because I love the ocean. So we're going to go to the ocean. I like being up in the woods. We're going to go to the cabins. We're going to go to those things. So all of this, I also love time. So I look at time machines, right? What are time machines? The faster I drive, the faster I get to a destination. I know she doesn't agree with me on that one, but I think it's true. And then we look at things like, okay, like if you're flying, how do you want to fly? Do you want to stand in the regular line, or do you want to be in the Clear Plus, whatever it has to be? So we create that number and we say, okay, based upon our family this year, what matters? What's that number? So that number, we're just going to use round numbers. We'll say it's $100,000 a year. So I look at it and my math becomes, how can I build a portfolio that helps feed my lifestyle? Because we know inflation is going to keep going up. Things are going to get more expensive. If you don't believe me, look at the price of things 30 years ago. You're playing a losing game if you believe that in 30 years from now, it's not going to be a little bit more. So I look at that and I go and I say, all right, we're going to go from there. We're going to execute. So that's our number. So the simple math becomes, as long as I have assets that are at least $1 million that are giving me 10 to 12% returns, that covers my nut. Cool. The moment you get to that phase where your assets cover that, you're free. Because now you live the lifestyle you want to. I know there's this thing called the FIRE movement, which is financially independent, retire early. A lot of them subscribe to the art of just lower your cost to the minimum amount you can be able to get by on, and then you get your assets to the place where they are paying off your lifestyle and you're good. I just look at it as a better quality of life. It's just a spectrum, guys. Pick what you want. So that comes number one. You got to understand if anything's possible, what's the kind of life you want to be living, right? Two, before I retired, I picked the people that I wanted to hang around with because I looked at it and said, nah. I want to spend time with people that are growers because I'm like, what's going to invigorate me in life? Do I want people that are defensive minded and they're just always blocking and like trying to like be there, or people that are pushing the ball forward that have desires and dreams? Say, yeah, that's my crew. That's who I am. Now I'm going to be able to go there. So who do I want to be serving? I work with investors and individuals that are entrepreneurs that want to create something new, and they're driven and they want this desire. And so what I do in the world of private equity is I help them like raise capital to be able to go out and acquire these things. I was like, man, it's a lot of fun because you're just every day I get my itch of business. I'm talking about this. And I'm like, what? You do what? I'm looking at the books. And I'm like, dang, I didn't even know that was a thing to be able to be there. And that's my jam, right? That's question number two. So if you're looking at that, like the point of retiring is not just to be able to sit on your ass and do nothing. Like it's to do the things that you actually want to do. So if you can take a year or two and be like, I'm going to get paid no money. I'm just going to intern learning how to do woodworking. That's fine. You pick where you want to go. Question number three is you got to know how much you want to make. Because if you can consistently, like that hits your investment number of like knowing when you can exit stage left and be like, boom, cool, that's there. So you got to know the number. But here's the fourth question, which is how much time do you want to spend doing it? Some of us want hands off. Some of us are very intense and like to control things and want to be doing all the property management and the building and flips. You want to run the companies. You want to do those things. It's based upon you. I'm the kind of person that looked at and said, all right, I would much rather earn 1% of 100 people's efforts than earn 100% of my own. It can scale because time is my most precious resource. Time freedom is true financial freedom. So you can have a lot of dollars and cents, but you don't have time freedom. You don't have anything. And you can always make more money. You can't make more time. It doesn't exist. We can't control it. So it's whatever it is. So rules of the game, understanding where you're playing. So when I look at that space, that's what I value. And these 4 questions I ask myself consistently. Take them, use them, and see how they work for you. Because from there, that'll drive the actions of what you're doing. It'll drive the intentions of what you're looking for. You're going to look at things, and some of the people that I'm going to be interviewing are oil and gas people. Some of them are real estate people. And in real estate, you have single family, you have Section 8, you have multifamily, you have commercial, you have mixed use. Like there's so many variables that happen to be out there. And this is what I subscribe to because of Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett talks about like his whole thing is he loves business, but he likes businesses that he knows that he can assume are going to be here in 10 years or not. And he knows they're going to grow. So he knows they're going to be here in 10 years. So that's what he subscribes to. He does not follow trends. He does not care about the newest, latest thing that's going to be able to be out there. First rule of the question he asks himself is, are they going to be around in 10 years? And normally how I can predict that is if they've already been around for 10 years. Because they've understood, they've probably pivoted 2 or 3 times already. Because they realize that economies shift, people shift. There's different obstacles they need to overcome. And it's not a matter of like who a person is when things are going right. It's how that person shows up when things aren't going wrong. And how they react, how they transition, how resilient are they? That's what we look at. And so I'm a firm believer in, like, I just look at it and say, as an investor, My job is to be a judgment of character, because character will allow me the opportunity to understand, like, what is this person going to be around for a couple years? What is their experience, and what is their plan when things go wrong? Because that's really what it is. So I hope those 4 questions resonate with you. They give you the strength to move forward and be like, yeah, I'm going to figure out this information. And if anybody's ever struggling with it, you can find me on most social media platforms as at Sylvania Harrod. I'll be able to dig in and just use these different examples. I'm willing to share what my own numbers are, so people can ask that if that's what you really want to know. But as of today, I feel like it's time to land the plane and be at a space of, like, before you start getting momentum building, you've got to understand who you are, what really matters to you, and have a target. As you use that target, now you can work backwards. You can look at what steps do I need to take day by day, and then you move forward. So for that, that's what I got for today. Cheers, everybody. See you soon on the next episode.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, rate, and leave us a review on your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more people ready to explore contrarian investment strategies. Stay connected with us on social media for more expert insights, behind-the-scenes content, and updates on upcoming episodes. You can find all the links in the show notes. Until next time, stay bold, think differently, and keep pursuing the legacy you deserve. Thanks for listening to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast.